Hello there. This podcast is brought to you by Fidesis, a digital product design and development company. For today, we have Mr. Shavak Agarwal, who is working as product manager at Microsoft. So let's get started. Hello, Shavak. Hope you're doing great.
Hey, Dikshita. Awesome to be here. And nice to be
It's
talking to
great
you.
to have you on the show, and I'm really happy that you could come, take some time from your busy schedule and come here. Thank you so much. Uh,
No
so,
problem. It's looking
yeah.
forward to this.
So, my first question to you is, like, can you tell me a bit about your journey from BITS Pilani to Microsoft?
So I've had a pretty seemingly straightforward but yet very random journey. So I started off. I always had a passing interest in computer science as I joined Pilani itself. So like normally people join CS for the brand name and all of it, but for me it was something which I was actually interested in. And then over the first 2 years, I actually figured out that I loved data as a domain, machine learning and data as a domain. So I did a course in this second semester of my second year, and that also helped me solidify my plan. Ki this is something I enjoy. So, and then during multiple internships, so then I went ahead and did an internship in a quant firm in Calcutta after my second year, because I had an interest in economics and finance. So I went to a summer school in Berkeley after my first year as well, and that
Okay,
was purely in economics and finance.
that's so cool.
So,
That's so cool. That,
so
and
which is
that's
why I was
like
like,
so much
yeah.
different from whatever we do, like finance and then computer. So how did
So,
you get into that? It was like
so
something
that's my
offered
second
from the
love.
college?
I call it my affair with. I have an affair with economics and finance. Then my primary relationship is with machine learning and computer science.
Okay, that's
So,
cool.
so even during college, I was always involved in the finance club and all of those things. And I did multiple courses in finance as well during college. So just to explore what the domain is and whether I like it or not, to do it full time.
Okay.
So that was my journey with finance. So I did a quant internship, and there we started off doing simple SDE tasks that we normally do, and we were second year students, so didn't have a lot of context. But then if you bug people enough, they usually give you something cool, some cool things to do. So as I was doing that, I dabbled with a few machine learning algorithms that they were working with, and they asked for help in and got deep into that. That experience helped me get experience, which helped me work with profs on campus. So when I spoke about that, I worked with profs on campus. They were like, "Okay, sure, you can work with us too." And then that experience with profs helped me get internships at IBM Research.
Okay.
At IBM Research, I was doing some pretty interesting work with GANs. This was back in 2017 when GANs were just starting out, the summer of 2017. So, like while I was working, when I went there, I was given a brief saying, "Ki, see, this is an interesting problem, but don't expect to solve it in 3 months. You can try, but at the end of it, that's where you'll be." So that's the way the problem statements are framed to me. Amazing fun though, a great learning experience. And then I got into Microsoft on campus placement, and I also have got to intern with Flipkart for 6 months during my final year,
Okay.
and that was again with their machine learning team. So I started again as a SD there doing simple tasks, but eventually I pushed them. Ki, oh, there's a system which no one is looking at, and you're like, can I work on that?
Okay.
So eventually I got to go do some cool machine learning stuff there too.
That's like so pretty cool. What I understand from your journey is like there's a very famous saying like पूछने में क्या जाता है. So you bug people and you just try everything and then you eventually get into it. So this is
Yeah.
to all the shy people who are like thinking that if I ask something, I don't know, I will get it. No, don't overthink. Just ask. If you don't get, they will tell no, or else you will get it. So
There's
that's
actually a very funny story around that. So even during my on-campus interviews, the
okay.
roles which were open were actually SG roles, the normal SG roles. But I almost in all my interviews on day one, I would ask the companies, "Acha, what machine learning work do you have?" I would
Okay.
ask the HRs and everyone else, ki, my profile is completely machine learning based. So I have a strong interest in that. So what machine learning work do you have? I think I might have lost my D-Shaw offer because of that.
Okay.
in the last round. In all probability, again, I don't know for sure, but yeah. Uh, but that helped me Microsoft, because in Microsoft, I spoke to a senior person about this, and they were cool enough to tell me that, hey, let me see what I can do, and then they actually started the data scientist process for me at the spot, on spot.
That's so
So
cool. That's
sometimes if you just ask, then at least the person knows that you're interested. If you never ask, then they would never even have the
yeah.
faintest of idea, right?
Exactly. Like you should ask, and then you will know. Like if they say no, it's no. You understand it, or else you will get an opportunity that you thought you won't be getting, or it would be like an entirely different journey for that. So yeah, that's
Yes.
amazing. So like your profile, like when I opened your profile in LinkedIn and I saw, I was like, oh god, this is so ideal. Like Flipkart, IBM, Microsoft, just take the name and it's there in his profile. So when did you start building your, like, do you have any thought that I have to build my resume in a certain way and I have to work for that? Like from which year you started working for that?
I think that's a pretty interesting question, and a lot of people approach, internships and everything else as building your profile. I have a very different opinion to that. I would say always do things which interest you. So at every step, I usually took up an internship which seemed very fascinating to me, and which helped me explore a different aspect of my profile. So, for example, I picked up IBM research because I wanted to try out an academic research environment.
Okay.
So, and I picked up the quantitative firm because I wanted to do economics and finance. Like I wanted to, I like that domain in general. It was one of the things I
Yeah.
was fascinated by.
Yeah.
Similarly on campus also. So on campus, every time I picked up a new project under a prof, I worked with around 3 or 4 different profs. Each time I would pick up a different topic. Like once I would pick up something related to online algorithms, which is purely statistical. Sometime I picked up a GA-based project. Overall, it brings a good story of having diversity in a profile, but actually helps you understand things as well. So any problem which fascinates you, I would say go for that and then see where that goes.
Like you are a very curious person, and curiosity always helps. Like that's
Exactly, yeah.
pretty nice. So now you are in Microsoft, so can you tell me about how is life at Microsoft and what all works do you do there?
So Microsoft is actually a pretty interesting place that way. So it gave me the jump from the data scientist to the PM role as well, right? So it gives you the freedom for you to go out and do what you want to do, rather than telling you that, hey, this is what your role, just stick to that and don't go anywhere else. So it gives you the freedom to pick and choose your work, to go out there and experiment. At the same time, it's also a great place to have a perfect work-life balance. While at the same time, if you push people enough, again, you will get the larger amount of work that you want. Like I go to my manager, and both as a dev and as a PM, I've gone to them saying, I'm bored, and I like that interesting. Could you give me some work on that? And they'll happily give you work.
That's
It's not
that's
that
amazing.
finish this and then go there. It's like if you will pick it up, then go ahead.
Okay, so it's like what is the work as a PM? Like, can you explain your profile and like how
Sure.
does it work?
Sure. So as a PM, at the most basic level, people often think PM to be a very, very cool profile and whatnot. So a PM's job at the most fundamental level is to figure out why to do something and what has to be done exactly, to scope it down. And also, everything else around the product. For example, talking to customers about it, which will also help you define why you have to do it, and also help you scope out what you exactly have to do. So that's the broader aspect of a PM. I, in particular, work on, I do multiple things. One of the things that I do, for example, is to help grow India as a market for Bing. So I work on Bing as a product. It's the most famous / infamous search engine out there. So I work on Bing as a product, and one of my responsibilities is to help grow Bing in India.
Okay.
Apart from that, I also work on some part of the metrics and strategy work. I collaborate with people on the metrics and strategy work for Bing.
That's great. Like, so are you applying your finance knowledge anywhere in your life in this PM role?
So I think, see the basic financial concept, right? On what the value proposition, or the effectivity of money and everything else. These concepts at a more broader level come into play in all of this. For example, even when you have to prioritize what a dev has to do, you have to see what is the incremental gains versus the overall reward. So you're not
Right.
actually applying an equation here, but the concept still remains the same, where the unit changes from time to from money to time.
Okay.
Because
That's
in a product environment, the unit of payment is your dev's bandwidth.
okay. That's amazing. Like, yeah, that's cool. Right? Yeah. So, how important do you think having like doing internships in your college life is to get into this topic companies?
So I would say that one aspect of it is in helping you get into these companies. So for sure that these companies, if you're in an interview, right, they will much more like to talk about your on-ground experience and your real-world experience rather than talk about a project you did for a course. So during an interview, it makes it much easier to have a nice, engaging discussion with someone. That's one part of it. Apart from that, internships also help you realize what you want to do.
Okay.
It's because otherwise you would just be thinking about this seems cool, let's do that. But if you have done an internship in that and someone asks you that why do you want to actually do this, it's very easy to say examples. I did this here and I did this here. So because of which I can clearly tell you that I like that better.
Okay.
I like that in this better. Like for example, I can tell a person why I like the corporate world or corporate machine learning better than academic research. For me, it's very easy to say that now, but it wouldn't have been if I didn't do my internships.
So
Make
internships
sense?
like help you explore what you want, and you can just try on everything, and then by the end of the college, maybe you will have a clear idea about where you want to work and what you want to do. So
That's one part of it. Also, during an interview, it makes it seamless to have a conversation. Like people much prefer to talk about in any interview about your real world experiences rather than an academic project or a
yeah,
course.
so it puts a very good impression on the interviewer also.
Exactly. More than impression, they know for a fact that what you're talking about, because you implemented it in the real world. Because
And
college
also
projects, all
it
of
will
us
give you
know
the
the way it can be
confidence,
handled.
right? It will
Yeah,
also give you the confidence to like perform, because you have earlier given interviews and cracked internships. So yeah,
exactly.
that's also another thing. So how, like, did you ever face imposter syndrome? Like whenever I open LinkedIn, I am like, oh god, everyone is putting something out there, and I freak out. I feel like it's never enough for me. Like no matter entire day work, but whenever I'll open LinkedIn, I'll get that syndrome. Like I feel like I'm not doing enough. What will happen to me? So have you ever faced that?
For sure. So as I moved into the PM domain, I'm one of the youngest PMs here in Microsoft,
Okay.
and and most of the people around me are graduates from IIMs, IIM or your these top MBA colleges, B schools, and they bring amazing perspectives due to their studies there. So it's always a thing that hey, they have done so much. Why am I here? I think that's exactly why you're asking, right? So that happens, but then it's very important to remind yourself that of what your value proposition is. Like as you evaluate a product and what its value proposition is, it's important for you to evaluate what your own value proposition is, what you bring to the table more than everyone else around you. Basically, what makes you special.
Okay. Basically being
So it's important to
confident.
realize that.
Yeah. So it's basically like we
Because
should
it's like a
be.
very standard interview question, right? What perspective do you bring to the team? What do you
Yeah.
bring to the table?
Yeah. They do always ask. Yeah. One is like, describe about yourself. Tell me about yourself. That's the most
Yeah,
hardest question, I guess, for everyone.
for sure, yes.
Yeah. So
But apart from that, this is an important question to introspect on yourself. Okay, interview is one part of it, but once you introspect on it yourself, you understand better on where you stand, or rather what you can develop to, in that domain to gain that edge.
yeah. Correct. So how important do you think CGPAs are for getting placed into this top tier companies?
To be honest, I would say that it's important for your fresher jobs. In your initial placements, it becomes important to get the initial step in, because that's where they use the CGPA as a factor. But even there, it's, I think, 8 plus is usually a good enough factor, is what I've seen, at least from Pilani.
Okay.
Apart from that, from the long run, after the first year of your experience, it will almost have a cliff. The importance of it has a cliff. Hits a cliff.
Okay.
Basically, it'll decrease exponentially as you go on with your career, because people will give more weightage to what you have done in those experience years rather than what you did back in college.
So like,
as you can imagine, right?
Yeah. So for initial days, it's important. So all the students out there, don't skip it entirely. Some people, they think, let's do data structure, forget studies there. So don't do that.
Yeah, I'm saying maintain a balance. Like an 8 plus GPA will give you enough of a background to, persist in it. Otherwise, you need to be exceptional. Like, for example, I have batchmates who had a 6.0 or a 7.0 GPA, but then they were ICPC finalists.
Okay. Yeah.
So then they were exceptional. Like, then they could.
Yeah, they will get.
Then they would afford to drop their GPA.
Yeah. So ICPC finalist is like, okay, pretty cool.
Yeah, regional. They went to regionals, or they did at least one of those things. So they could crack the interviews in a much more different way.
Yeah, that's great. So, like, how important do you think knowing to code, like how important it is to like get into these top tech companies, and is it always necessary that you have to code for the entire time you are there, or there are other job options that requires only the knowledge of coding, but it really doesn't require you to code all the time?
I think my job would be an interesting example of that. So I, as a PM, spend a very minimal amount of time coding, and that too by my own choice, because I like to have retain some technical background. Otherwise, my majority of my time is actually spent analyzing the data, speaking to customers, and figuring out what to do next.
Okay.
A very small amount of time would actually be required to code. So a PM's job is an interesting example of that. Similarly, if you think about it, as you go up the ladder, in general, you would code lesser and spend more time in figuring things out. Even as a developer, like if you have seen what an architect does, an architect would not spend as much time coding, but rather spend time figuring out what the infrastructure has to be.
Yeah.
Whether all the pieces are in place and how the pieces have to be built out.
Okay.
So as you go up, that'll go down anyway. But in the initial stages, for a PM, it's not required. As a dev, that's your bread and butter.
That's your like main task, to code. Exactly. For the dev.
But even as a PM, it's very important to maintain an interest in tech. Have a strong interest in tech. Like even if you don't want to code, but you need to have an interest and a passion for tech, and that helps a lot.
One last question to you. One advice that you would like to give to all the students who are hustling hard and they want to make it to the top tech companies?
I think one thing that you would have seen, I've been saying time and again, is to not think about it from the top company's perspective, but rather build yourself towards that. Like, I know this has become too cliched, like follow your passion, whatever it is. But in reality, like if you actually are doing what you love, especially within this domain, I'm saying within tech, try and figure out what part of it excites you. For example, I have friends who go crazy about theory of computing. Like they will sit and do mathematical proofs day in and day out, and they'll love it. That's the best part of the day.
That's different, something different.
Exactly. There's some other person who will love to make algorithms the entire day. He wants to make the coolest algorithms.
Okay.
Or someone else who loves DB structures, DB designs. So it's important to find that niche which you love and then go deep into that. And because then you have that, again, I told you earlier in the imposter syndrome question, right? That you need to have your USP as well. So that becomes your USP on what you are great at. Or to showcase that, hey, this is something I'm really good at.
Yeah.
And that obviously you can show off in an interview very well. So that's one part of it. And in general, I would say that making sure that you do good internships, try and intern in these companies as well. The internship conversion is a very good option to join these companies. So these companies love to, talk to these people before, or have these people work with them before they actually join. So every year we have around 300 or 400 interns who join Microsoft.
Okay.
So you can imagine, right? And I would, the number changes every year on how many they convert, but they convert a fair number of those.
That's
Apart
cool.
from the on-campus hiring and everything else they do. So it's very important to make sure that you at least try and intern with these companies. If not these companies, then find some other company which is giving the experience at the very least.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming to the show and giving such good valuable insights. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. It was great being here.